Evening everyone, welcome to the Sunday live stream. We dip straight into the lounge with Keith tonight. Hope you're well, hope you're ready for some fondue. Yeah, I'm on slightly earlier this week on account of, yes I am, I'm going to be checking out the match later, meeting a few people, so that's why I'm on slightly earlier than normal on a Sunday. But yeah, I hope you're all well and good. Let us know how you're doing in the chat. And if you've not subscribed, please hit the button and then you can join others in your chat. Please do hit the thumbs up button as well. Helps the stream reach more people. So yeah, of course, there's been this assassination attempt on Donald Trump. Going to be looking at that. That happened last night, UK time. Since then, some other things have come out about it. Going to be talking, but this is extraordinary. It's unbelievable. It's crazy. The repercussions as well could be equally crazy. I'll be touching on that too. Sorry about that. The phone was going off. Yeah, I'll also be looking at UK politics. Going to be looking at lobbies specifically. Members of the cabinet who are being lobbied and who they're being lobbied by. Yeah, my most recent video looked at a few things that haven't looked encouraging about the Labour government in the first week. Check that out if you've not done so already. There's been a couple of other things as well. On last night's Brews at 10 we were talking about the two-child benefit cap. But tonight we're going to be talking about the lobbies, and also that's going to bring me on to the latest in, excuse me, in Gaza as well. As I said, we'll be kicking off shortly with that Trump assassination attempt story. Yeah, give us a shout in the chat. After the stream as well. This is going to be a fairly short one this evening. Ladies and gentlemen, brothers and sisters. We're going to be raiding into Helena's No Justice channel, so stick around for that. Shout out to Helena as well. I've got a comedy clip to start though, as always. I'm going to jump into that one in just a minute. It's the latest from Larry and Paul. They're complaining that there's been a lack of scandal, a lack of news stories, but I dare argue otherwise. There have been a few things. Even though, what is this? Day 10? Day 10 of Labour government? Whoops, my finger slipped. Right, let's get on to Larry and Paul then. So latest from Broken News.
Welcome to Broken News. Reporters and journalists around the UK have been left at a loose end during the worst shortage of political scandal in living memory. It follows over a decade of almost constant news out of Westminster, but there's no suggestion of when the current dry patch will end. Well, let's cross to our political reporter, Chef McGubbins, who's been on the hunt for scandal. Chef, what have you been hearing?
Well, Rodney, yes, very little is the answer, I'm afraid. There was that little bit of footage, wasn't there, of Angela Rayner wearing short shorts while supporting HIV charities. We tried to whip that up into a big story, but unfortunately, no one biting.
OK, and aside from that, what else has there been?
Well, as I say, Rodney, very little in terms of scandal in Westminster.
Angela Rayner in short shorts? Is that the best you can do? You've had a week. They've been in power a week. You've got nothing. Nothing whatsoever.
So maybe there is one story which is potentially a major story developing. And this, so at the state reopening of Parliament, one of the new intake of MPs, they're there their first day, their opening speech, they're sitting in the House of Commons. Apparently one of the new MPs let one go.
Sorry, they let one go?
Quite a bad one, from my sources in Westminster.
So that's the best you've got?
Quite a bad one.
One of the new intakers hoofed out an earth surprise on the benches. Is there nothing else? There's been no corruption, backhanders, someone getting finger blasted in number 11?
What?
Nothing whatsoever.
As I say, now, one of my Westminster sources, no doubt, updating me on, that's Mum.
Well, does she have anything?
Not related to Westminster.
Well, what's she messaging about?
It's about Christmas. It's early in the year, but I could talk about the football.
I don't want the football. You're a politics reporter.
Well, it's...
You've got nothing else. What a lovely story. That's all from Broken News. You're up to date.
Larry and Paul. Well, it's not been that quiet. I'm going to be talking about a couple of things that I've mentioned in the last couple of days, like I said. Two-child benefit cap. Wes Streeting not looking good for what he's got planned for the NHS. Yes, that's Wes.
But shut up, Wesley.
Streeting. Right, better crack on. Yeah, I've got to get through things pretty quickly tonight. So this is the latest. Yeah, so I'm sure you all know Trump was making a speech. Someone took a few shots at him. The would-be assassin has been killed. Unfortunately, another man has been killed. Says here, he dived on his family to protect them. I think this is from one of the bullets that missed, and it's hit someone else. You can see on the left there, this is the 20-year-old kitchen worker and registered Republican Thomas Matthew Crooks has been named by the FBI as the gunman. 20-year-old. We'll have a look at that after we've checked out some clips. I mean, this is crazy. Obviously, back in the 1960s, there was the JFK assassination. There were assassination attempts on Ronald Reagan. But this is unheard of in the modern era. there was a guy who threw his shoes at George W. Bush. You might remember that one. I don't think that counts as an assassination attempt. Of course, this has led to quite a few right-wing commentators throwing their oar in. Farage is one of them. He's focusing on this rather than his newfound responsibility in Clacton. I'll be talking a little bit about that as well. Let's just get through a few clips first of all. We'll start with the actual footage itself of the assassination attempt. Great, this is unbelievable. This could get pretty bad. I hope that's lined up okay for you all.
If you want to really see something that's said, take a look at what happened.
Now you hear three shots that are pretty similar distances apart, and then afterwards you hear another 4 or 5 very close short bursts.
Really see something that said, take a look at what happened.
It looks from that like it was the first or second one hit him in the ear, and he's hit the deck. JC, welcome to the chat. How you doing tonight? I've got an auto mod that's blocking everything you say. I'm not sure you... Oh. Your comments coming up on the chat now. Okay. If anyone else is having a problem with an auto mod, would you let me know about that? I might have to check the settings. Okay. Yeah, cheers for letting me know that, JC. But I was just saying there's then another series of quicker shots. Not sure if they come from the gunman or if they're at the gunman. So those were the shots in quick succession. Also, security have dived on him there. I can't believe. I'll just pause it again 1 sec. Sorry. Okay. There are still. I can't believe there are still people stood up. Most people have hit the ground. You can see this guy with the hat. This other guy with the cap. There's quite a few, and they still just stood up, gawking. Surely must be aware of what's going on. Most other people have hit the ground. Trump's been smothered, of course, by his security team. They're there for... They're there for a bit, and then he stands up. They're just waiting. So I'm assuming from the footage those other shots were at the gunman, and at this point he had been shot. Well, this is the bit that everyone's focusing on now. He does that thing. There are pictures floating around. There was one taken from an angle where it showed the Star Spangled Banner behind him and stuff, and obviously he's milking this. The right winger are milking this. This is a massive failure by his security detail, that's right, JC. Undoubtedly so. I guess I'll just quickly go on to something else I've heard. It's not been confirmed or anything. There's supposedly been a statement by one of the security detail, who's actually one of the security who shot the gunman, saying that he had him in his sights for 3 minutes, but was ordered not to shoot until the gunman had shot at Trump, something like that. Again, just want to strongly emphasise that's not been verified or anything, that's just something that I've seen going around. There are already rumours that it might have been staged. Well, this, I don't know about you, him stopping to get these pictures and raise his fist. Usually, when you've just been shot at, the first thing you want to do is get the fuck out of there, really. Don't know about you, that might be one of the first things on my mind as well. Well, there'll be more news coming out in the future. I won't get on to the ins and outs of any possible setup or it being staged or anything at the moment. That's a whole nother can of worms. I won't open that one just yet. Yeah, then he's bundled off into this vehicle and off he goes. Let's just go back to main page. Just another clip. So there's this one here. It's just 30 seconds long. Worth taking a look at. So it's the shooter on the roof, apparently. He's just 20 years old, remember? He was just 20 years old. He's been shot at the scene. It's not often you get this as well, you know, straight away. Footage of the shooter. H. Luke, welcome to the chat. Hope you're doing well. So this is supposedly the guy. It's not the best footage, is it? Right, so there was a bit at the beginning there. Let's just have a look. So I guess that's the best. That's the clearest out of the 30 seconds of the footage, where you can see him now. He's on a roof, but he's still quite exposed and open there, this guy. But this thing, yeah, about this statement, don't know what to make of that. Don't know what to make of that. if that'll get confirmed or denied officially at some point, this 3-minute claim that someone had this sniper in their sights for 3 minutes, but were ordered not to shoot. I'll skim through this. About this Thomas Matthew Crooks. There's something about when there are assassinations or assassination attempts, the three name thing, they always include the middle name. Do you know what I mean? James Earl Ray, you know, Lee Harvey Oswald, allegedly Lee Harvey Oswald. Same with James Earl Ray. But this thing, the 3-name thing, Mark David Chapman, the guy who shot John Lennon. Right, so this is Thomas Matthew Crooks. This is what they know about him. Just 20 years old. This is from his high school yearbook 2 years ago. He's alleged to have opened fire while the former US president was addressing a crowd in Butler, Pennsylvania, leaving one audience member dead and 2 others badly hurt. The 20-year-old kitchen worker was shot dead at the scene by a Secret Service sniper, officials said. In a statement, the FBI said Crooks was the subject involved in the assassination attempt on the former president and that an active investigation was underway. They used DNA to identify him. He's from Bethel Park, about 43 miles away. Graduated high school with a $500 prize for maths and science, according to local newspaper. Mentioned earlier that he's a registered Republican, so that's the same political party of as Trump. That's according to US media. Says though. Donated $15 to Liberal campaign group Act Blue in 2021. I can't say I'm overly familiar with that campaign group off the top of my head. He was wearing a t-shirt from Demolition Ranch, a YouTube channel known for its guns and demolition content. The channel has millions of subscribers, featuring videos on different guns and explosive devices. They've searched his vehicle and found suspicious devices as well. Bomb technicians called to the scene. So yeah, what's his motivation? I mean, this guy's a Republican. And they said they've not identified a motive at the moment, but they're still working tirelessly to find out what it was. This is one of his friends from school.
He was always getting good grades on tests, everything like that. He was very passionate about history. And from what I knew with my friends, they said he was good in government type classes. So anything in government or history, he seemed to know what he was talking about. But it was nothing out of the ordinary. He was a nice kid, and I had never had an experience with him where I was like, he, you know, isn't nice. He was always nice, and I was always friendly to him.
Just what's going on? Just what's going on with this? It could be pretty difficult to find out the motive. When normally with this kind of thing, especially if motives are political, it's made pretty obvious fairly soon. The perpetrators always tend to have some sort of message. because it's political. So they want to make the most of, obviously, being in the spotlight after they do this kind of thing. But at the moment, that doesn't seem clear, and it's very confusing that it's a member of the Republican Party as well. And I know that, obviously, historically not all Republicans agree with Trump. But that just adds another layer of intrigue to it, I think. And this is... God, we're going to be hearing about this for a while, I think. All 3 victims are adult men and were audience members. That's the man who was shot and the 2 others, excuse me, who were injured. GoFundMe page organised by Trump's campaign, National Finance Director, was set up in the hours after the attack, with donations going to the families of the injured, and they've raised $340,000. That's £267,000 sterling. Yeah, and there was blood all over his ear and his face. Has he lost part of his ear? Has he had... I mean... Talk about close. If this is the way it went down... the 3 shots came out. One of them, it looks like the first or second one hit Trump in the ear. It might also then have followed through and been the one that injured one of the 2 people. There were 2 other shots, 2 other misses. And with those 2 other shots, one person's been killed and another person's been injured. And then another shot, a barrage, where the assassin was fighting. The perpetrator, I should say, was shot down. I mean, it's pretty hard to make sense of at the moment. But one thing that has happened, as I said, certain right-wing commentators have come and stuck their neck out. One of them is Farage, unfortunately. And yeah, he's been on the rounds. I mean, it was bad enough before he had a seat, but now he has got a seat. It looks as though, unfortunately, the mainstream media are going to be paying, if not even more attention to him. But we're going to call him out for his bollocks.
What did you think when you heard the news, first of all?
Well, I was very upset, and I'm still upset. I'm obviously pleased that my friend Donald's got away with it. Only just, but he's got away with it. But 1 person is dead. 2 more are fighting for their lives in hospital. So it's an absolutely horrendous incident. And yet, somehow, I'm not shocked by it. The narrative that is put out there about Trump by these liberals that oppose him is so nasty, is so unpleasant.
Well, off he goes straight away. Ridiculous. He's referring to liberals, I assume, in the American sense, not in the British sense, of course. Liberals are so-called centre-right social democrats in the UK, but in the United States they're seen as being left-wing, and I'm assuming that's what he's referring to. This assassin, from what we know, was a member of the Republican Party, Nigel. He's a member of the Republican Party, which is and always has been a right-wing party. Now, historically, the Democrats have been left-wing. A lot of people would argue that they're both one and the same at the moment. But that's pathetic. That's pathetic from Farage.
That I think it almost encourages this type of behaviour.
But it gets worse. It gets worse. I don't know if you've seen this clip. It gets worse.
Are you suggesting that the political environment is to blame for this?
Well, you can always pick out quotes. I mean, it was just a few weeks ago that Joe Biden said Trump must be put in the bullseye. And you know, we talked earlier on this.
That's just a figure of speech. That means that. I mean, what's he trying to sell here? What's he trying to flog? He's such a shite hawk, Nigel Farage, for turns of phrase. Donald Trump has been convicted of some awful crimes as well, by the way, Nigel.
Program about social media, and that's quite right. There are some things that are said on social media that aren't acceptable, but there is also a mainstream media narrative, and I'm afraid it's very, very one-sided. The BBC is a part of this. It's happening in this country. I mean, I've faced continual attacks for over a decade now. Because it's me, no one cares.
This man was shot at, and you had a milkshake thrown at you. Well, that's happened a couple of times. There was the thing where the guy was throwing stuff at him when he was on one of his campaign buses, I think that was. And he's trying to say that he's, you know, it's basically the same for him, but nobody cares. Boo-hoo. Get your small violins out.
In fact, it's even funny, you know. I mean, one of the many times that I had a drink thrown at me, you know, a comedian, so-called comedian on a BBC show says, well, why not battery acid? I mean, I just find the fact...
I don't know who's specifically referring to. Or if he's made that up. If you know who that's about, let us know in the chat. But again, it's a comedian, all right? Someone is literally not plotting to do that. Nigel, give over. And the right wing always talk about how people on the left are snowflakes and they attack, you know, they're transphobic, homophobic. They also accuse the left of being snowflakes. And then all of a sudden, they're looking for sympathy. Get a grip. Get a grip, man.
That individual, Joe Brand, is still on BBC programmes. I find that really pretty appalling. We've got Mr.
Oh, it's Joe Brand, he's just said it.
Aronovich, who does programmes on Radio 4, who recently said that the best way for the Democrats to deal with Trump is to have him shot. Now he says now that was a joke. But so I do think mainstream media, I do think liberal intolerance is increasingly a part of this problem.
What do you, first of all?
But yeah, he's going to be milking this for a bit as well. In fact, he's done so straight away. Where is it now? 1 second. He's just been elected, of course, as the MP for Clacton. He won his seat, won a seat on the 8th attempt of trying. And he's immediately pissing off to America to support Donald Trump. I'm not sure if this is what the people of Clacton voted for when they've put him into power there. That's one of the 5 seats that Reform landed. You know, I think that will be short-lived, flash in the pan in terms of their presence in the House of Commons. That's the protest vote against the Tories. It's done. So I can't see them holding all of the 5 seats, perhaps losing them all down the road in 2029. Who's to know if there are going to be by-elections in those 5 seats? Who knows what kind of scandals and revelations might come up between now and then as well. But that's another matter. So that's where Farage has been milking this assassination attempt. I think that's just about it for that subject at the moment. As I said, I've got to sort of move through things a little bit quicker this evening. Just want to quickly check if there are any of these clips. There might just be one more. I want to check out. Bear with. Just quickly want to hear what. Yeah, that was the one. Joe Biden's responded. Yeah, we'll just hear from the sitting president. Now, there is the election coming up, of course. There have been these questions flying around about the state of Joe Biden's mental health, but, you know, before this assassination attempt, also about Donald Trump. It's been scaled down to basically who is the least senile in terms of the mainstream narrative so far in the election. But that's not happening till January 25, so...
I have tried to get a hold of Donald. He's with his doctors. Apparently he's doing well. I plan on talking to them shortly, I hope, when I get back to the telephone. Look, there's no place in America for this kind of violence. It's sick. It's sick. It's one of the reasons why we have to unite this country. We cannot allow for this to be happening. We cannot be like this. We cannot condone this. And I want to thank the Secret Service and all the agencies, including the state agencies, that have been engaged in making sure that people and we have more detail to come relative to other people maybe injured in the audience. I don't have all that detail. We'll make that available to you. I may be able to come back a little later tonight, but we'll put out a statement if I'm not able to if it's not convenient for you all. But the bottom line is, the Trump rally was a rally that he should have been able to be conducted peacefully without any problem. But the idea that there's political violence or violence in America like this is just unheard of. It's just not appropriate. And everybody must condemn it. Everybody. I'll keep you informed, and if I'm able to speak to Donald, I'll let you know that as well. So far, it appears he's doing well, number one. Number two, that there's thoroughly investigating what happened to anyone else in the audience. We have some reports, but not final reports. And every agency in the federal government, I'm going back to my phone to speak with the federal agencies that are being put together again to give me an updated briefing. Has anything happened? They learned any more in the last couple hours. So thank you very much, and I hope I get to speak to him tonight, and I'll get back to you if I do. Okay?
Mr. President, do you think this was an assassination attempt?
Yeah, just before he answers the question, arguments about his mental health aside, it's always a bit of a... It's torturous watching Biden trying to speak about anything. With Trump, it's a matter of what's he going to say next. With Biden, it's a matter of can he stay awake or not, I guess. That seemed to be a pretty obvious question from the reporter. It would seem pretty obvious to me that this is an assassination attempt. I'll just let Biden answer the question and then I'll get on to, just quickly.
I don't know enough to, I have an opinion, but I don't have any facts. So I want to make sure we have all the facts before I make any more comments. Thank you.
Well, it's either an assassination attempt or it's a setup. It's a staged event. I mean, what is there a third option? Are there other options? It's not an accident. He wasn't, what's going on? It's got to be one of those two things. What worries me, though, I'll be directly frank with this, I think this could more or less hand the election over to Trump now. He's going to garner a lot of support for this. He's going to milk it for what it's worth. And what worries me is what he and his supporters did after he lost the election fair and square. You saw what happened with that insurrection. Now that this has happened, are some of his supporters who, let's be honest, you know, they're a couple of sandwiches short of a picnic, if you want to put it that way. Are they going to feel as though it gives them free license to do certain things? And that's what I'm worried about. This is also part of the, you know, we're seeing the rise of the far right in America, unfortunately, through Trump. We're seeing it in Europe as well, as I've mentioned before. Worrying times, worrying times. I'll keep you up to speed with this story anyway, whether it's confirmed that it was an assassination attempt. Don't know how long Nigel's going to be out for. Be interesting to hear what the people of Clacton think about that as well. But that's just about all for that story. Moving on now to back to the UK politics. Yeah, we're going to be having a look at lobbying. And now, on my last video, I've had some comments, and they've said that I'm being a bit unfair in making judgments about the government, the new government under Starmer, after just a week, you know, saying that I should give them a chance. But I think they deserve scrutiny from the first week to the last week, you know, all 200 and, what would it be, 260 weeks that they'd be in for, roughly. And I've already mentioned on the channel how things don't look good for the NHS, things don't look good for housing, with Reeves as Chancellor. And Wesley...
But shut up, Wesley!
Streeting as Health Secretary. Also, the two-child benefit cap. And, of course, the ongoing issue of the occupation of Palestine and these attacks on Gaza, which the mainstream media have sort of fallen away from a bit recently, but I'm going to continue to talk about that. And these are the lobbies, these Israeli lobbies, that are now have access to government. Just a different government, obviously. A lot of the Tories were lobbied by the same people as well. Got some numbers here. So this is part of the cabinet. It's about half of the cabinet, and I don't know if you can see the numbers there, but some of them are pretty shocking. Well, 40% of the Labour Party in total have received donations from lobbyists now. I'm just going to pick a few out. So Angela Rayner, who's now Deputy Prime Minister, has received £25,000. Streeton himself has received about 28,000 there. Sorry, the writing's a bit small. I'll try and read them out to you. So yeah, that's quite a lot of money for Wesley.
But shut up, Wesley!
Streeting. Lisa Nandy, over 50,000. That's another big one. Rachel Reeves, also another massive one. She's Chancellor as well. Starmer himself, 50,000. But the biggest one on there, the highest amount, goes to David Lammy, the Foreign Secretary. Is that a coincidence? The Foreign Secretary has received the most money from Israeli lobbies out of the new members of the cabinet. Over £100,000. That's a lot of money. That's a lot more than the average salary several times more. These are the kinds of money that are being paid. And I think, you know, it's appalling. It's disgusting how there's cash for access, basically. And do you think that David Lammy's thinking about his constituents, or he's thinking about over £100,000 when he gets up? Does he? Who's he really working for? This is a lobbyist gloating about meeting up with David Lammy recently. He met him at the NATO summit to discuss ways to foster the friendship between the two countries. Looking forward to continuing our conversation soon in Israel. Don't know if you've seen that particular tweet. It's awful, and one of the worst things about Labour being in means that it's not going to bring any significant change for Palestinians, but we do have to keep the pressure on. We have to keep the pressure up. So it was reported recently that 90 people were killed, again in another so-called safe zone, displaced people being killed where they're trying to seek refuge. This is in Khan Yunis, and these are the kind of things that I've got some footage here that these lobbyists are paying the cabinet for, to perpetuate this kind of thing.
يا رب يا ساتر يا رب يا رب قصف مربع كامل في مواصي خان يونس حسبي الله ونعم الوكيل حسبي الله ونعم الوكيل
سلطان هادي سلطان
I mean, look at that, look at that. Look at the scale of that. I mean, this is why it's so indiscriminate, and so many civilians have been. This isn't any kind of precision attack on Hamas itself. It's awful. We've got such a desperate humanitarian crisis there. I brought that up on the Bruise at 10 live stream last night as well, with the World Health Organization revealing the shocking latest statistics, as well as Antonio Guterres from the United Nations condemning Israel for their actions. But please do check that out if you've not watched yesterday's Bruise at 10. People are standing up to this, though. People are taking a stand in countries all around the world. We do have to keep this pressure on. We have to pressure Starmer in the UK to get a proper ceasefire. Although we're fighting against some seriously powerful forces and the kinds of money being exchanged. As well as this, you know, it's clear what Israel's intentions are for Palestine. They want to occupy, they want to illegally settle in it even further. And they also want to take the vast natural resources that are in Gaza as well. Up in Glasgow, though, there have been ongoing protests, and this is one of the latest of them. It's a roadblock on Argyle Street. Let's take a look at footage. well done to everyone there in Glasgow for that roadblock on Argyle Street. Great show of solidarity. Will of course continue to show solidarity on My Left Eye with Palestine, with Gazans who are under attack. 2 million people going through some of the worst humanitarian conditions imaginable. Over in Ireland, there's been an ongoing protest at Shannon Airport as well. I've just got a picture of this one. Ireland have shown great support for Palestine, and in this particular case, they're absolutely horrified that bombs are being allowed through Shannon Airport. It's being used as a drop-off point, who knows, it could be for arms coming from the States, stopping in Ireland before they then go on to Israel, for example. And they're appalled by this. They don't want that happening. They don't want to be part of it. Ireland's done very well in showing solidarity with Palestine as well, so well done to those protesters as well out there in Ireland. France also, I made mention of recently, showed a brilliant show of solidarity with the left-wing coalition who got the most votes in the last election, declaring that they would recognise the state of Palestine within a fortnight. In fact, I think it's worth watching that footage again. I do like it, of the chanting. And then I'm just going to quickly get on to some of the UK stuff. I'm sure I've still got it here. Just bear with me. One moment. Got to scroll up. There we go. Do love that footage. I think, yeah, it's the song, it's the drums as well. I think that's one of the great ways to show solidarity when you're marching in song as well. And these kinds of protests will continue here in the UK, in Ireland, across the world, in France, in the States, everywhere. Try and keep you up to speed with the latest on those, of course, here on My Left Eye. But just quickly, as I mentioned earlier at the top of the show, a few comments on the last video I had out, kind of criticising me for having a go at the Labour government so early on into the tenure. Just basically calling it out like I see it. Like I said, I was a bit surprised by how quickly they've lifted the veil and shown the true colours myself. But, you know, the channel's all about politics from a socialist perspective. I think a new government deserves scrutiny from day one. And I have been saying to people that this is just going to be a continuation of the same thing. And I've got a clip here of Lucy Powell, who I think was on Kustenberg earlier on. And she pretty much confirms that suspicion. We've seen other signs of it before, you know. The language that they're using, tough decisions, tough choices, that kind of crap. And, you know, things aren't going to change overnight. They're ignoring obvious solutions and just essentially saying that now it's going to be the same, only it's going to be their excuses. They'll look back and say, oh, well, the Tories left us with nothing and that's all you're going to get for the next 5 years. We're not going to get any massive, vast improvement or you know, air quotes, change that Starmer banged on about for weeks before the election itself. This is Lucy Powell from earlier on today.
But of course, when you're in government, you actually get to see a lot more of the detail, a lot more of the paperwork. You get to speak to a lot more of the officials than you could ever do in opposition. And it is, I'm afraid, the case that when we have opened the bonnet, when we have looked under the bonnet, things are even worse than we thought. And we are going to have to take action. And we're not going to pretend to people. I think this is part of the challenge with the discourse in our politics, that we can't flick a switch and change things overnight. This is going to take serious focus, serious determination, hard work, and we are setting out a legislative programme to match that, which is ambitious and bold, but will take a lot of time and energy and hard work from ministers to actually deliver.
Okay.
So that sums it up, what the new Leader of the House of Commons was saying there, Lucy Powell. We're in for 5 more years of austerity politics. We're in for 5 more years of cuts. Nothing's going to happen with the wealth gap. Nothing's going to happen with wages. Nothing's going to happen with public investment, unfortunately. You know, and I kind of had this in my heart 5 years ago, when the Tories got the 80-seat majority back in 2019. I knew that it probably wasn't just going to be another 5 years of the same. Something in the back of my mind was suspecting it would be 10. And now that's been confirmed to be true. Starmer's abandoned Labour's democratic socialist principles, of course. Right, we'll have to bring things to a close soon, guys, but please do hang around. Don't go anywhere. I am going to be raiding into Helena's No Justice channel. I believe that she's still on. She's doing a warm-up show before she goes over Laura Kussenberg on Sunday Politics in full. So please do check her out. Her content's fantastic, and she's a great YouTuber. And also she's on Twitch as well. So do stick around for that. Just got one more thing to touch on. As I said, I'm off to watch the match myself. So I'm meeting up with a few friends in the bar. And just on the issue of migration, you might have seen this picture going around your social media. I just think it's pretty fitting that with England playing in the final against Spain tonight, just to raise this with you. So this would be the usual England squad. Obviously, there are a few changes, but it's still pretty accurate. Without immigration, and we do need to kick racism out of football, of course. In the Premier League, teams still take the knee to emphasise that effect. So you'd just be left with goalkeeper Jordan Pickford, central defender John Stones of Man City, and also Phil Foden of Man City, also Phil Foden from Stockport in Cheshire. So, yeah, England without immigration won't be much of a squad at all. Bukayo Saka was subject to some horrendous racist attacks after hitting the post when he took his penalty, and we lost to Italy, if you remember that. That was appalling. And these are the kind of things that we want to see kicked out of football. Disgusting things like monkey chanting, throwing bananas at people of colour is no, it's just wrong. It's just wrong. So yeah. That just ties in with the football tonight, and of course, as always, we take a firm stance against racism here on My Left Eye, and I'm sure that a lot of our viewers do as well. Just quickly go over a couple of comments. H. Lucal, it is time for radical change. quite right. Thanks a lot for those of you who joined us in the chat as well recently. Also, before I do leave, I'm going to give a shout out to the members, as always, of course. Yeah, if your membership is up for renewal, please do consider renewing as well. Special thanks, of course, to those who've gifted memberships here on the channel. Amazing. If you've been gifted a membership and you're enjoying the perks, please do consider resubscribing as well. So these are the latest members here on My Left Eye. Great thanks to all of you. We're going to dip back to the lounge before I close off, but please do stick around. As I said, I'm going to directly get into Helena's live stream. If you'll just bear with. Yeah, that's set up now. Alright guys, so thanks for joining me on the Sunday live stream. Sorry to quickly go through things. Thanks a lot for your comments as well. If you're watching back on a replay, please do still add a comment. I'll try and respond to as many as possible. Don't forget to hit the thumbs up button on the stream. Please do consider joining the channel. As I said, it's just 99p. Some great perks to enjoy as well. And of course, super thanks are another great way to show solidarity here on My Left Eye. Also, I'm going to do a show of solidarity with No Justice now. So do stick around. Just about to raid into Helena's No Justice channel. That's all from me though. I'll be back during the week with Brews at 10 PM. The Brews at 10, that's the regular weekday live stream slot, and I'm going to have a couple of videos out as well. So keep an eye out for the latest content. So until next time everybody, take care. My Left Eye, be seeing you soon.